the weekly feed. I am joined by Roddy Walston of Roddy Walston in the Business.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Yeah. What a big year. I think you finally graduated. We can call you a bona fide rock star.
I don't know.
You never want to be called a rock star. I don't know.
I'm a rock star. I don't know about bona fide yet. Hopefully 2014 will be fully bona fide.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's got to feel different out there because Essential Tremors comes out and it feels like you finally started hitting all the cylinders that, a lot of us were hoping that you would hit, for a while anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. We've been like, we've known each other for a long time, but we've been going at it for so long that I still kind of, even pulling into cities like, here where it's like, oh, this should be kind of a no stress, no brainer. But we've just kind of always had such a slow churn that it's like, I just expect things not to work, or I don't know, like kind of to just stay still. So the moments where we've had like crazy, turnouts in cities that we've not ever done well or never played before, I'm just like completely blown away.
So I know there's no secret, but what was the secret for you guys? How did it happen? Because it was a slow churn, but suddenly it felt like, there it is. There it is. Roddy Walston in the Business has finally hit it.
Yeah.
What was the deciding factor? You switched
like
labels?
the label has been fantastic. Our management kind of started to really click, and I guess we made the right record, or I don't know. And then I think people finally were like, okay, these guys are not going away. Fine, I'll listen to it, or whatever. I think they just kept expecting us to quit. And we're like, no, we will not. We're like that best friend that won't stop asking you out on a date or something.
Well, I want to hit on a few of those things, minus the dating. I really don't have any dating questions here. Let's start with the label, because there was a thing. You guys were on Vagrant for a second.
Yeah.
And then,
record.
And then suddenly you're on ATO.
Yeah.
And I know that there's always the stories that happen along, and what you share and what you don't, but you make it onto this, I don't know what to call it, Vagrant, a mini major. It's it's not a major, but they're a respectable indie label and everything.
It's definitely a label that was on our hit list of labels we wanted to work with.
But was it always a one album deal, and then you guys were going to move on? What happened? What's the story?
We don't have the thing where it's like those guys, if I see them in a room, I'm gonna punch them in the face or something. We're still friends with, I'll end up on the phone with John, the owner, John Cohen, and then Jeremy, who was kind of our main dude that we dealt with there. I don't know.
Some things aren't a match. I know.
Yeah,
some things aren't a match.
For some reason it just didn't work. And then in the middle of that record, we ended up with different managers, and
which can be devastating for a lot of campaigns.
Yeah, so it's kind of, there was just a lot of stuff that it just kind of I would say, going back to your question of why did this record seem to be working?
Yeah.
On that last record, it just seemed like all the timing was wrong. Kind of if something landed late, it was like devastatingly late, or just kind of like, oh, we just missed the window to get here to do this or whatever. And on this record, it's like timing keeps sinking. So again, even if it's something gets handed in late, it's like, whoo, we dodged a bullet because it would have got stuck here, but instead now we've gotten this amazing opportunity.
Sure.
So.
And all success, warranted, but it is a shame because that was such a good record.
It was. I'm still proud of it, you know. And when I look at what kind of broke around the same time period that record happened, I'm like, feels like, in that way, I'm like, that timing for that record was right, But for some reason, it just didn't. I don't know. Things just didn't fall in the slots for that record. Whatever. It's people that love it and people that are still finding out about it. And
do you feel like you have a service to introduce people to your back catalog? Because there's records before that one too.
Right. I don't think of it like there are people that come up and like, man, I'm sorry, I like record this and not this one or whatever. And to me, it's like I wrote all of it.
Sure.
I don't separate it necessarily. When we're making it, we're trying to make that one album as cohesive as possible, but there's no thing where it's like, oh man, this one thing we did back here is really embarrassing. I hope no one ever asks us about it or wants us to play,
We're going to get to ask you this question again in 10 years. Yeah. And that's usually when the artist says, oh man.
I think it's kind of hopefully like the fashion of our band, which is not very fashionable at all, but it's pretty much just like jeans and shirt, and maybe I'll think having long hair is totally ridiculous or possibly impossible. later in life, but yeah, I mean, you know, we're not jumping on every trend or something like that that's happening. So
there's something to be said about the I guess what we call the no frills rock and roll band. We were talking to the Wigs recently, and the Wigs they kind of have that. It's like, you know, if we're going to make it, it's going to have to be on the structure of the song because you know you're the same way.
No tricks.
You're just the rock and roll band, and you're a high energy rock and roll band. You know, I don't mean to downplay that.
I mean, you could say someone's like just a gimmick band, but like that can go.
It's almost an endangered species in 2014 to just be a rock and roll band. Like you're playing for the pure of the sound.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the Wigs hit on, from what you said, is accurate. Like, our thing is the song, you know, and, you know, you can dress up an idea in all sorts of cool little transitions or whatever, but if there's not an actual song there, for us at least, it's just not, it doesn't get past the whatever, you know, the filter of ever anyone else hearing it, you know. And I'm not comparing myself to anyone. I never compare myself to anyone, but like I remember watching a documentary when they were making like one of the first Lennon records, and the players came in and they were like, they were like, I didn't want to play anything because like, here's this song, what can I do to add to it, you know? And you listen to those records and the playing is barely there at all, but I don't know. Yeah, I think if you work on a song a lot, that you're not compelled to do a bunch of tricks. Right. You know?
Well, to back up to that last record, there was a lot of stuff around the time in press where you're saying, okay, I wanted to make the party record.
Right.
That was going to be your party record.
Yeah.
And it was a big, fun record. Yeah. And you get the Essential Tremors, so you're on the new record. Yeah. That worked really well, even though it didn't really, take off, but it worked really well. Is that when you said, I mean, was there ever a point where you just said, we've got to do that again better? Right. We've got to do it again bigger.
Yeah.
Because you're a man of many sounds, and I guess I just want to get to, you can play a lot of different styles if you want. And Essential Tremors is this great sound that really does follow the last record really well.
Again, we were just making, on the self-titled record, we were just making a record of songs we wanted to hear and a vibe that we wanted to hear. Yeah. And, you know, there are all sorts of new things that kind of came into our input and sort of whatever, but in the end, we're still the same four guys that, you know, in that way, you know, I don't know, there's a moment where you're kind of like, yeah, we could go real subtle on this, or we could just crank it real loud and go nuts.
Sure. Well, that leads to songs that you kind of have to answer for. I love Sweatshock.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to answer for Sweatshock, like, all right, so you like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
that would scare bands. And once again, I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't scare you, because there's no reason why you shouldn't have written that song the same way. Yeah. But a lot of bands could have went, well.
Yeah. I mean, I do love Led Zeppelin, and if anyone is guilty of ripping people off, it's Led Zeppelin. So in that way, I have no...
That's true. Actually, now that you say that, that's completely true.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the most
sued
notorious...
for that first album, right?
Every song of theirs is a rip-off of something, you know, and then they just play it louder than... You know,
that's why we call them tributes.
Yeah.
They're not rip-offs.
I'm very influenced by that. I mean, the thing... But for me, with all of our stuff, it's like 145, 99% of every pop or rock song ever, you know, and it's like someone did that, and then everyone has had no... you know, reservation about being like, yep, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, or I don't know, every band's had a drummer or a guitar player. I guess that's like, what's so original.
But now that we're in the parameters that we have of pop music, I mean, that's And every now and then you get the band that comes through, and it's like, wow, that's they don't sound like anyone. You know, and somebody figures that out.
That's a pretty tough path. I guess for me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like probably even on our next record, we're going to potentially be kind of getting a little bit wider or weirder or something like that. But again, I just care about writing the songs. I mean, the challenge to me on Sweatshock was really I mean, obviously there is a very Zeppelin-y thing there, but I was looking for to actually find a way to write a song inside of basically one note over and over again, which, like, I was dipping into like James Brown and Michael Jackson and stuff like that, where, I mean, there's a demo of Sweatshock where we literally did like the same percussion as "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" on it, like because it's like, and you can sing "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" on top of
really?
Sweatshock. Yeah,
that's fun.
Like
do the live mashup.
Yeah,
I want to hear you do that.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, but that's what those guys were dipping into.
Right.
I mean, people kind of don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize, that's just Led Zeppelin being a really loud funk band.
Yeah,
and and to even say funk kind of in some places is just like, oh gosh, what are you doing? Yeah, but
was this watching the Michael Jackson live at Bucharest? You remember that one? Just pulling people out, just like completely passed out. It got me thinking that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
because the access maybe that people have to artists now.
Right.
Like
totally
even
right.
Justin Timberlake, you can get tweeted at. Maybe. So that's gone. 1992, people just had to sit around and think what this person's like. They get to the concert and they pass out without.
Yeah, he's a wizard at that point. That, right. Could heal them or something. And I totally agree. I mean, we are on the internet and sort of whatever, but I think I don't care about it. Like, as far as, I don't want to know what, I mean, it's obviously something that gets worn out, but it's like, I don't care about what somebody ate.
Sure.
I'll look at a dog picture and be like, oh, that's cute. I'll look at a baby picture and be like, oh, that's cute. But I'm not like, yes. Well, I'm not compelled to get back on the internet and be like, oh, thank God. I wasn't sure if they were, had a.
Well, it sounds unintentional, but like that actually adds to the mystique of rock and roll, which that's what I'm getting to. We lost.
Yeah.
The mystique isn't there, but for some artists, and there are plenty of artists out there who don't subscribe to that. I have to do everything. It actually gives you a level that
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what people think about who I am or what I am in private. There's definitely, I've had some conversations that are frightening, where it's like, I know that you do this. I'm like,
I'm leaving.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. If that scares you enough to leave me alone, that's fine.
Wrap it up with a game, a small game.
All right.
It's a bit of a pick the topic thing.
Okay.
The 3 topics you're not supposed to talk about at parties.
Okay.
You know what those are?
Politics, religion, and...
We got religion, we got politics, and it's really sex. But in 2014, that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't. So do we make one up?
So I'm going to give you a buy, and this is habits.
Habits.
So this is personal, weird things that you don't like to admit that everybody does.
Yeah.
Those kind of habits.
Okay.
So you pick how we're going to close this interview out.
Oh man.
With habits and politics or religion.
Let's go habits, just because.
Let's go habits. Now, there's the obvious part. We start out with, it's called Essential Tremors, and you grew up with this trimmer issue?
Yeah.
I don't know, what do we call that? You've talked a lot about this issue. You said that wasn't really debilitating, though, to you. You still got on with life. That didn't own you.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I'm interested in how this segues into being a habit.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So what?
Can't stop. I just love it.
So what are the OCDs then that maybe you just can't get past? What are those kind of things? What are the habits that you just can't stop that does in a way control your life?
Right. I mean, I'm chronically losing stuff. Like, I just cannot keep track of things. Which, again, I don't know if that's so much a habit, but that's something that definitely affects my life. Like, there's definitely like a pretty steady loop. Like, drive away, come back, pick it up. Right.
I think it's got something to do with being an artist.
Maybe, yeah.
You meet creative people, and I should put it that way. Creative people have issues. Creative people have these issues.
Sure.
People like to think of creative people as these all-knowing thing, but really, is the way I see it, and I'll just put myself in here, it's blinders.
Right.
Blinders are always on.
Yeah, you're kind of, or you're like lost in a, you're like trying to be in a conversation, but there's maybe an idea or something swirling up here. And
then you're a dick.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the other thing is I just don't care about people. If I cause them to waste time, that's fine with me, because I got to do what I got to do.
Because you're on your own.
Yeah.
Rod, it was awesome talking to you.
Yeah, you
Essential
too.
Tremors is out. It is fantastic.
Thank you.
We've loved it, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah.
All right.